ho, 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 ho. What is up, everybody? My name is Felix and I'm here back again with another video for you all today, and this one is one that I know a couple people have been asking about and I'm pretty excited to make. So I'm going to be teaching you guys basically how to start playing guitar, like all the basics. This is for anybody who has never even touched a guitar before, people who have like a little bit of knowledge maybe. This video should help you out if you're trying to learn how to play guitar for, you know, maybe making beats or something, or you want to play with a band or just be able to play with your friends, or, you know, impress the ladies around the campfire or something like that. Whatever you want to learn guitar for, I should have you covered. So yeah, make sure you guys check out my Instagram and my SoundCloud down in the description below, along with the playlist of songs I produced, my BeatStorm, my Discord, all that stuff. Go check it out if you desire, and now we can get into this video. So today I'm going to be showing you guys on the electric guitar, but however, this will apply with whatever guitar you've got. So in my opinion, when you're starting off guitar, there's a couple important things that you need to learn. The first thing you need to learn is what all the strings are in standard tuning. So standard tuning is the one that most people use. There's other different tunings that you can use also, but I'm going to be talking about standard tuning today. So the way the strings work in standard tuning is the low E string is this one on top, and then the next string down is an A, and then the next string down is D, the next one is G, the one below that is B, and the one at the very bottom is the high E string. So obviously this is a very important thing for you to know when you're playing guitar. Just memorize what all the notes are. There's probably an easy like acronym or something you can use to remember. I just remember it as EADGB. So if that helps you, you can say that, but I'm sure there's another way to remember it much better. But yeah, basically that's the first thing that you should know, the first thing that I think everybody should know when they pick up a guitar. So yeah, essentially it's important to get that down. So if I were to tell you to play the third string down, you should immediately know that that's a D string. If I were to tell you to play the string on the bottom, you should immediately know that that's the high E string. So if you wanted to, there's a million different ways that you can practice this. You can go into Google and just type in, you know, roll a die, and whichever number comes up, you should be able to say what number string that is. So if it rolls a 1, you should think in your head that the first string is the low E string. Or if it rolls, you know, a 4, you should know that that's the G string or something like that. Whichever way is best for you to memorize it. And most of these things that I'm teaching here today are going to be very based on memorization, because it's important to practice these things and memorize them and get them down. But it shouldn't just be like, you know, cram all this information into your head the way you do with like a test or something like that. You should actually devote the time to practicing each and every one of these things that I teach today. So yeah, if you need to write things down, if that'll help you, do that. Whatever you need to do to help you practice these things and memorize them so you can get them really quick and really good. So basically, once you've got all the strings down and once you've memorized that this is E, A, D, G, B, E, the next thing that you should learn is how the fretboard actually works. So I'm not saying, you know, memorize the entire fretboard, but it's important to just know how it works in general. The way that the fretboard works is it just counts up. So essentially, if you know piano, it just goes to the right on the piano. So this note is E, this note is F. The next note, the second fret, is F sharp. Then this note is G. Then G sharp, then A, and then so on and so forth. And that's going to be the same way that all the other strings work as well. So if you think about a piano and you were to start on E, the next note would be F, and then F sharp, and then G sharp, the same way that a guitar works. So because both of these, the top string and the bottom string, are both E strings, all of the notes on them are going to be exactly the same. So like we said earlier, this is the A string. This string is going to go first fret, A sharp, second fret, B, third fret, C, fourth fret, C sharp, and so on and so forth. Same with the D string and the G string and the B string, all of those are going to work the exact same way. So you just start on the note that the string actually is, and then you just count up from there. And basically, if you don't know how the notes on the piano and stuff like that work, it starts on A and it ends at basically G sharp. So you're never going to go any further than G sharp. And also, you might be wondering why certain notes don't have sharps after them, and most of the notes do have sharps after them. The way that I remember which notes don't have sharps in between them, basically I just remember F and because. So E, F, F in, and then because, BC, because you know that's like an abbreviation for because, and those are the notes that will not have a sharp in between those two. So if we're here at B, we get to a B note, we know that there's no B sharp, we're going to go straight to C. and that's a C. Same thing with E and F, because, you know, the way the first string works, E and then straight to F. So basically that is how the fretboard is going to work, and it's really important that you remember that. And it's also probably going to be important that you memorize a few notes on here. So basically I have the 5th fret for the top 2 strings memorized, so I know that on the low E string, this 5th fret is going to be A, And I know that right below that, it's going to be a D. And this helps you out as like kind of like a reference point. So if I know this is A right here, I know that this one's going to be A sharp, and then this one's going to be, you know, B, and then this one's going to be C, and so on and so forth. And that basically just helps me when I'm playing to know kind of where I'm at and stuff like that. So yeah, memorize whichever notes are going to help you. And then also, if you see these two dots right here, just know that this is basically the same note that you started with. So if this is an E, this is also going to be an E. So yeah, that's what these two dots signify, is an octave, which is basically the same note but lower down or higher up. Alright, so at this point you've come this far, and basically that means that you know how the notes work, you know how the strings work, and the next most important thing that you should learn, the thing that I think most people learn first, is the basic open chords. What open chords are chords that you can basically play all the strings, you know, without having to put a finger on, and it'll still make a nice sounding chord. So basically the open chords that you should remember that are really going to help you out are C, A, G, E, and D. And also there's a couple more too, but C, A, G, E, and D are the important ones because there's a thing called the caged system, which is what I'm going to teach you guys here in a minute. It's kind of basically all based on these chords. So probably the most important one is a C chord. So a C chord is going to look like this. You're going to have your fingers in this kind of shape, and I'll put a little, you know, graph diagram thing on the screen for all these chords. You're not going to play this high E string, so what you can do is just kind of rest your thumb on it if you want, or you can use your ring finger, like the top of your ring finger, to kind of silence that note a little bit. So basically the C chord is going to sound like this. And that's a C major chord. Very nice, happy sounding chord. I'm not going to teach you C minor because there's an easier way to do that later on once you learn something else. As simple as I can put it, a major chord sounds happy and a minor chord sounds sad. As you can hear right here with this A major compared to this A minor. It has more of a sad kind of somber sound. And the way that you're going to play an A major is you're going to take these three fingers right here, and you're just going to put them all in a row on the second fret of the D string, G string, and B string. And then you're not going to play this top string again, so if you want to put your thumb on here just to rest it there, you know, don't like press down on it, then you can play all of the other strings, and that will be an A major chord. And now an A minor chord is super simple. You're just going to take this same exact shape, but this finger down here that's on the B string is just going to go back one fret this way. So to do that, obviously there's no way to, you know, put your finger underneath. You're just going to move these two up and take your first finger and put it on the first fret of that B string. So now when you play this, it sounds very sad and very somber. And now the next thing we're going to learn is the G major chord. So G major, if we take our C major shape like this, remove our first finger, and then move this up one fret. So basically we're going to have the top two strings occupied by these fingers, and you're going to take your pinky and put it down here on the E string. And this G major is going to sound like this. So now we have C, A, G, and now we have to learn E. So an E major chord is basically the same as an A minor chord. As you can see right here, this is our A minor. We just move it all up one fret each. So literally exactly the same shape. A minor, and now E major. As you can hear, that's a very nice chord. I think E major and minor chords are one of my favorites. Now that we have our E major chord, we're going to learn E minor, which is super simple. You just take your finger off, your first finger. And now that we have C, A, G, E, we just need D. And for a D major chord, you're going to put your middle finger on the second fret of the high E string. Then you're going to take your first finger, skip a string to the G string, second fret of the G string, and then you're going to take your ring finger right here and put it on the string in between, which is the B string, but on the third fret. So it's going to make a little triangle shape. And now you have pretty much all of the basic open chords that you're going to need. So now that you have that down and you know all these chord shapes, you can pretty much pick up any guitar and just kind of start playing it. It's like if you play these chords, a lot of the time they're going to sound good together. So as you can see, that was just a C major, an A minor, and then an E major. And that sounded nice together. So now that you have those basic kind of open chord shapes down, it's important to get good at switching between chords. So for this, there's no really quick life hack. This is kind of just something that you have to keep practicing over and over. But kind of the way that I practice was I just put my finger on this and I just know in my head, okay, this is a C major, and then I just switch really quick. This is an A major, switch really quick, A minor, E major, and then just keep doing that keep being able to switch between chords and, you know, swap it up also. Don't just do the C, A, G, E, D order, you know, maybe start at D and then switch to E minor and then switch to, you know, maybe A major, C major, you know, whatever you can do, whichever different combinations you can do to get your fingers faster and more used to that muscle memory. So this next thing that I'm going to teach you is where the real magic happens. So you're going to be using a combination of what I just taught you with the open chords and a combination of what I taught you with, you know, how the strings work. So the strings that you really want to focus on for this are the top two strings. And what if I told you that you could play literally any chord that you wanted to just by knowing the chord shapes that I just taught you? Basically, the way that works is that you're going to use these same open chord shapes and you're just going to move them up and down the fretboard pretty much. So this A minor shape right here, basically when we played it, we didn't play this top string, right? We only played this string. And this is the A string. So if that makes sense, this top string, the A string, and then this is an A minor chord. So basically, if we just move this shape and we also hold down on one of these strings, it's basically just like taking this A minor and moving it to a different note. So now we have a different note's minor chord. So the way that we do that is with bar chords. So a lot of people don't like bar chords, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to, you know, play bar chords better. So the way that we're going to do these bar chords and be able to play whatever note that we want to, we're going to take this A minor shape, and by the way, this applies with any note that's in those C, A, G, E, D open chords, but I'm just using the A minor as an example. So we're going to take this A minor shape, but we're just going to change the fingers that are on the strings. So we're going to put our ring finger and our pinky finger on the D string and the G string on the second fret, and we're going to take our middle finger and we're going to put it on the first fret of the B string. So this is still an A minor chord, but however, what we can do now is move it one over, and as you can see, we have this first finger free, and what we're going to do is bar it across this first fret. And now that we can do this, this right here is an A sharp minor chord. And remember how I said I remember the 5th fret of the first two strings? Remembering a couple notes on the first two strings, this is what it's going to really come in handy for. So I know this is going to be a D minor. And technically now you can play all of those open chords in different variations. So this right here with your first finger barring the 3rd fret right here is going to be a C minor. And remember how I also said I was going to show you an easier way to play a C minor chord. This is basically how. So I was saying how I was just using A minor as an example. The ones that you're really going to use are E and A. So you're going to use those E major and minor shapes and A major and minor shapes. You're basically going to use the E major and minor shapes when you're on the first string, the low E string, and then you're going to use the A major and minor shapes when you're on the second string. So remember how with the A major chord, it was all of our, you know, 3 fingers like this, all on top of each other? Well, that's a little weird to play when you're doing a bar chord because it kind of looks like this. Some people do play it like that, but I think that's strange. So what I do is I just kind of do like a power chord, I guess, and I bar my first finger, and then I just kind of do the same thing a fret over with my ring finger here. So this is going to be a C sharp major chord. So basically, like I said, when you're on the second string, it's going to be this shape for major, and then this shape for minor. And now if you're on the top string, the low E string, it's going to be those E major and minor shapes. So remember before, this is our E major. What we can do now is basically the exact same thing we did with that A minor chord. Remember how we have the ring finger and the pinky finger on the D and the G, and then we have our middle finger on the B string? We're basically just going to move all of that up 1 fret each. We have ring finger on the A, 2nd fret, pinky finger on the D, 2nd fret, and then we have our middle finger on that G string on the 1st fret. And we can move this down anywhere we want. So this will be a G major chord. And notice how that sounds like the G major chord that we already know. It sounds the same. So also knowing 1 fret on the fretboard, you know, particularly the 5th fret, comes in handy because I know this will be an A major. And then also remember how to make this E major into an E minor, we just remove this. That's going to be the same thing here. We're just going to take this major bar chord shape and remove our middle finger, and now this will be a minor chord. And that's an F sharp minor. So that's essentially what you need to know to be able to play any chord that's on the guitar. So obviously there's other voicings, there's, you know, 7th chords, 9th chords, all that different stuff, but that's kind of out of the scope of this video. So for now, this should be good enough for everybody. But also I kind of wanted to show you guys how to play better bar chords. The first tip that I can give is to push back with your thumb here. So you want to push against the neck like this so that you can have kind of a nice pinch between this bar chord finger and your thumb on the back, because you really want to have all the pressure to be able to push all these strings down, because I know a lot of beginners are going to have their bar chords sounding like this, you know, just not really good, not really clean, and you want to be able to really push down so you can get a clean sound from every string. Another thing that you can do is kind of move this bar chord finger up a little bit so that you get more of this like meaty part of your finger in there, and that's going to help you to push down more of the strings as well. So I find this helps a lot, particularly if you're doing the minor chord shape on the low E string. So also what you can do is kind of pull the guitar back towards you a little bit and then lean forward with this shoulder, and this will give you a lot of power to really lock in that bar chord. And then the last thing really is to not try to bar right in the middle of the fret, but try to bar like right where the metal part of going to the next fret is, and that'll help you to really get those strings to push down. So yeah, I hope that helps you out a little bit with bar chords. I honestly struggled with bar chords for quite a while until I kind of did those tips myself and then just kind of practice over and over, and then I really got it down. And bar chords are super helpful. A lot of people don't like bar chords, but it's something that you really should get down, and that'll help your playing quite a lot. So now the final thing that I'm going to show you, which is something that is for a lot more like intermediate players, but basically I'm going to show you how to know every single chord to play in a major scale. So you can take any note on this low E string up here. So I'm going to pick this G right here. So this is the root of the key, G. We have the first chord being a major. And if you think back to like 2nd grade music class where they taught you do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that basically is the notes of a major scale. And it's good that most people learn that when they're pretty young, because that is going to apply here. So if we go like this, as you can hear, that's that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, blah, blah, blah. All of those notes that I just played are going to be the notes that you use in this G major scale. And we're going to take those notes and we're going to turn them into chords. So the second one that I played, this one right here, is the 2 chord, and that's going to be a minor. And then the third one that I played, this one is going to be a minor as well. And then the fourth one I played, this one is going to be a major. And then the 5th one, major as well. And then the 6th one is a minor, and then the 7th one is a diminished, or it can be a minor if you want, but it doesn't really matter. And in a major scale, it's always going to be the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord that are all major chords, and everything else just think of it as minor. But when you're playing, if you want to go from a 5 chord to a 1 chord, that's a pretty long journey, you know, going all this way. But it's a good thing that these same notes will continue on the 2nd string right here. Right underneath the 1 chord is going to be the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord, and then the 6 chord. And that's a super helpful thing, because that makes it so that if you're playing from a 4 or a 5 back to a 1, you can just go like this. So as you can hear, these 2 chords are the same. So if you want to play it up here, you can. If you want to play it down here, you can. Whatever you want to do is perfectly fine. But basically, this is your whole key right here. Your 1 chord, your 2 chord, your 3 chord, your 4 chord, your 5 chord, and then your 6 chord. So if you practice this enough, and with different keys and everything, because this applies anywhere on this top string, if you practice that a lot, you can get really good at, you know, memorizing what chords are in what key, what notes are in what key, and stuff like that. And then if you're playing with a band or something, and they say, all right, we're going to be in the key of A major, you know instantly that these are the chords you can play. And it's going to sound good because it's all going to be in key, and you will know that because you just used this little cool little epic trick that I taught you. So anyways, that's pretty much going to do it for me in this video. I hope you guys now have a better grasp on how to play guitar and how you should get started playing guitar. Hopefully you learned a few things in this video. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to do my best to help you guys out. But yeah, make sure you guys check out my Instagram, my SoundCloud down in the description below, along with the playlist of songs I produced, my beat store, my Discord, all that stuff. Go check it out if you want to. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.
But yeah, I still love her, like we share blood. No, I gotta keep going, I can't give up. Lately I've been feeling lost, I've been feeling stuck.